Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Nancy Wang, and I am half of Eth-Noh-Tec. And today we have a really exciting program for you, and so we're so happy you're here to share that with us. What I'd like to do first is to tell you that this program, in case you probably already, actually you probably already know, but I will just reiterate that three women of today will be portraying three women of the past, and at after the performances, we will stay in our characters for you to be able to ask any questions you want. So that will be exciting and a challenge to us as well to stay in character and answer your questions. So the first thing I'd like to do is talk about what Chautauqua is. Chautauqua is a genre that started early in the 1800s. And what I'd like to do is have both Bowen Lee, who is a guest today, and also Roopa Mohan, who is another guest today, to talk to you about what Chautauqua actually is and where it came from and how it came to be and how it's used for today. So, Bowen, you want to start, right?
Sure, let's start. Chautauqua started in Lake Chautauqua in New York State in 1874. It started out as a Methodist summer camp, and they brought in lecturers and teachers to teach the people who are coming to summer camp. It became so popular that they continued it throughout the years, adding entertainment to it. And this was a wonderful idea for bringing entertainment and culture to people. So many other communities adopted it. They brought in teachers, lecturers on all topics of the day. They brought in musicians, entertainers, and it spread throughout the entire country. There were tent Chautauquas, which were outdoor Chautauquas under a tent, where people came to be entertained and to find out the latest in science, politics, religion, you name it. And so that tradition continues today as Chautauqua Living History. So in Chautauqua today, scholars study and research certain characters in history, and they portray those people in monologues and have a question and answer period afterwards. And Rupa's going to tell you about that Chautauqua training that we underwent to become Chautauqua scholars.
Hello, everyone. The Chautauqua Training Institute was formed by Humanities North Dakota, which believed that they needed to recruit new Chautauqua scholars or presenters because of the aging population. And they decided to put out a call for proposals for a year-long training program. And Bowen and I were among the 40 or so applicants, and we were lucky enough to be recruited. And we met on Zoom every month. Now, who were the characters that we had suggested? Well, I came up with Kasturba Gandhi, the wife and silent shadow of Mahatma Gandhi. And Bowen will present her character today, a mountaineer from Japan, who was also a groundbreaker. So I think they wanted diversity and they wanted to expand the horizons and also introduce the world to, scholars beyond Europe and America. So we were lucky enough to fit that bill. So every month we met on Zoom because this was during the COVID time. And we also were trained on how to research, do scholarly research about these scholars, and 4 mentors were assigned to us, and they made presentations, and they got together with us in small groups, and we got to practice excerpts from our representations. And these were supposed to be at least about 40 minutes long, with Q&A in character and out of character. So over the year, we prepared and we came up with our Chautauqua presentations the following year, starting in January and February. And so you're going to see a piece of something that we prepared, and you will be able to also ask us questions as we get into our characters.
So,
Thank you.
so you'll see today a slice of Chautauqua. Roopa has developed many other Chautauqua characters as well, and so have I. In Monterey, I did Anime Wang, and also my great-grandmother from the Chinese fishing village in Monterey. So Chautauqua, you'll get to experience a little bit of what it's like. We'll give a brief monologue in character, and then you'll get to question and answer us. You'll do a Q&A of our characters. When you do ask us questions when we are in character, remember the time period that we are in and that we don't know what's past our own lifetimes. So don't ask us questions about the present, because none of us, none of our characters are alive right now. And, you know, be aware of asking questions like, how did you die? Because our characters don't know. And but you can ask our characters questions that they would know in the framework of the time that they're in. So have fun with it.
So thank you very much. So I am going to be playing Quock Mui, and she is my great grand aunt who lived in the fishing villages in Pacific Grove, Monterey area. And this part that I'm doing will be taking place in 1931. Now, I actually did not choose to do Quock Mui as my Chautauqua. Actually, Bowen suggested that I do it. So I agreed because it was very exciting for me to do it. And I feel sometimes like I actually channeled her. So what you'll see is my characterization of someone that I never met. Of course, that's all of us. So thank you. I would like to know the same information from the other two. Why did you choose who you chose, and what era is this taking place in?
Okay, I selected Kasturba Gandhi because we don't know very much about her. Everybody knows a lot about Gandhi. He's hailed as the father of modern India. But behind him, only in pictures, we see this lady clad in a sari, and she had a big part to play, it turns out, but somehow was not known to the world. So I thought this is my opportunity to do research about her and to present her to the world and establish that she was not just his shadow. And today I will be going back in time to January 9th, 1915, when Kasturba is 47 years old, and she and Mahatma Gandhi, who she calls Bapu, have just returned home. They have sailed all the way from South Africa to Mumbai or Bombay in India. And she's being hailed as the heroine of South Africa by some of the press that is there to greet them. So I want to go back in time and portray her life in South Africa prior to 1915. Bowen?
So I chose Junko Tabei, the first woman to climb Everest, because I didn't know anything about her, and nobody else that I knew did either. And she was a really incredible woman. When I found out all of the amazing things that she did, I really wanted to, I really loved her philosophies and principles. They really tied in with mine. So you're going to be meeting Junko. what she did during her lifetime was in order to help to fund her mountain expeditions all over the world. She spoke to people, and she's speaking to an American audience about her relief work with people who were hit by the tsunami in 2011. So she's speaking from 2015, and she's relating to this American audience some of her adventures on Mount Everest.
Great, thank you. Yeah, let me just add for Quock Mui. I was very excited actually to do her. I felt like I had known her because I wrote about her in a book that's just being published now called Red Altar, and I had already portrayed her as part of the Red Altar dramatization of 3 generations in the fishing village. So I'm going to be very happy for you to meet her. Let's see. So when the time comes after the performances, you can do the raise hands in your choices there under all your pictures. And Robert, who is here behind the scenes, will call on you. Also, during the performances, if you could all please mute so that no one can hear other things going on in your homes while the performances are taking place. So I think we are ready to perform. Hello, Dagay ho, neho neho. Hello everyone, how are you? You all look so wonderful. How do I look? You like my jacket? So pretty. My daughter, she loaned to me just for you today. So pretty. Oh, I forgot. My name is Quock Mui, and I am 72 years old. I was born in 1859, last century, and today, 1931. So you can count, huh? 72 years old and still strong. And I have seen so much in my lifetime. But first, let me tell you something. Now that I am 72 years old, I can say it. When you are 72 years old, oh, you can say it whatever you want. Who cares? So I can tell you that I am famous. Yes, me famous. Now maybe you scratch your head. Why is she famous? She just looked like an old lady. Well, when I was a young girl living in the fishing village in the Monterey Bay area, I went to town to sell fish, do errands, maybe buy candy. Oh, many people there, they know me. And the merchants in town, yes, I was famous. And they gave me a special name, Spanish Mary. Now you scratch your head again. Why Spanish Mary? Because I could speak Spanish. And now, why Spanish? Because back in the old days, the most spoken language outside our fishing village was Spanish. Yes, why? Because California used to be Mexico, and before that, Spain. So, of course, Spanish. But we should never forget that my friends, the Rumsen Ohlone Nation, lived in the Monterey Bay area for over 10,000 years. 10,000 years, yeah. That a long time. But I not just speak Spanish. No, I also spoke English. Of course you know that I am speaking English now to you. You know, they could have also called me English Mary. You see, many English people began moving to Pacific Grove, where I was living. You see the beautiful picture here? It was what we looked out at. I was the one that helped my people in the village get what they needed in town. I was translator. I read the newspaper also to them because, of course, they want to know what is happening in their newly adopted country. And I helped them fill out forms, like for the identity cards the U.S. government made us Chinese carry and signed by two white people to make sure we were who we say we were. If we did not have that form on us somewhere, we would be deported even if we were born here. Only for the Chinese. Ayah. But besides Spanish and English, I could also speak Rumsen, the native language, and Portuguese, and of course Chinese. Yeah, because I am Chinese. I know they call me Spanish Mary. I'm not Spanish. Ugh. I hope I have not confused you, because one more thing, I am also American. They say that I was the first Chinese American girl born in the American West, famous just for being born. You see, I was born on Point Lobos, the first fishing village. That was in Carmel Bay. Then I married and lived in Pescadero fishing village. And eventually, after a few of my children, I moved my whole family to Point Olona's fishing village in Pacific Grove. Yeah. Ugh. All gone many, many years now. Maybe you heard what happened to Point Olona's in 1906, right after the San Francisco earthquake. You see, the white people, the townspeople, were outside of our village, and they were shouting, "The Chinese must go! The Chinese must go! The Chinese must go!" And we were shouting back, "We won't go! We won't go!" When all of a sudden, we heard the shouts from behind us. "Oh, fire! Fire!" Oh, every Chinese, we rushed to get buckets to fill with water. But there was no water. Even when the firemen came, someone cut their hose. So no water. And our village burned down. Oh, everyone lost so much and now nowhere to live. We looked for any belongings in the ash, and the white people also were looking and grabbing our things for themselves. Ah, so many terrible things the Chinese suffer in America. Still, I am here. And so many of us still here. And I will tell you why I am here. Let me tell you a story. All Chinese know this story. It is called Lost Horse Could Be a Blessing. My mama always told me this story. It is the story of my life. It is a story of all Chinese people's life. Not just here in America, but even in China. So please sit back. And if you want, you can close your eyes so you can see the story, yes? And I make sure that you hear everything in the story, okay? So close your eyes or look out into space if you don't want to close your eyes. Yeah. Just no need to look at me because I just tell you a story. I'm not going to act it out like be a horse. No. Don't look at me. All right, ready? Chongqing. Once upon a time, long time ago in China, there was an old man who lived with his wife and young son. Oh, he had the most beautiful white horse. Can you see it? Yeah. Everyone in his village knew it to be a prize of a horse. Even the wealthiest landlords offered to buy the horse, but the old man always said no. One day, he woke up to find that his prized white horse was missing. All the villagers came to give the old man their sympathy and how he should have sold the horse when he could, because now, look, he has nothing. All you have is the wood you can collect to sell for firewood. Such a shame, such a tragedy. The old man looked at the villagers and shook his head. Yeah, what do you know? All there is that the horse is missing. You cannot say whether it is a tragedy or a blessing. Now go away." A few days later, his horse returned. Yes, but not alone. That horse brought 5 more other horses with him. Oh, now the villagers ran to see this amazing turnaround. "Oh, it's a blessing," they shouted. "You were right. We were wrong calling it a tragedy. You were right. It is a blessing." The old man shook his head. "How do you know it is a blessing? All you know is that my horse returned with 5 other horses. Now go away." Now, the son of the old man was given the task to tame the horses. After all, those 5 horses had been wild horses who followed their horse home. Well, one day, the son was on the back of the wildest of all the horses, and he was doing very well when suddenly that horse got spooked and the son was thrown off the horse. Yeah, he broke both legs. Well, once again, the villagers ran to give the old man and son their sympathy. What a tragedy, such a tragedy. The old man shook his head and spoke these words. "Ayah, there you go again. How do you know it is a tragedy? All you know is that my son broke his legs. Yeah. But how will you make money to feed yourselves? He can't help you. It's a tragedy." Yeah, go away, go away. Now everyone was shaking their heads. Weeks later, a general and his soldiers came to the village. He gathered all the families in the village and announced that all their sons must join in the battle against the Mongols. Do you see it? You don't look at me. Just keep your eyes closed. Yeah. Okay. Oh, the wailing and the moaning, because these were farmers, fence builders, brick makers, tool makers. They did not like war. And now they would have to give up their sons and maybe never see them ever again. Now, since the old man's son had 2 broken legs, the old man offered himself to join the military. The general looked at him and said, "Oh, no, absolutely not. Who would take care of your wife and your son, who cannot do anything?" The villagers turned to the old man. "Oh, you were right. Your son's broken legs were not a tragedy. They were a blessing. You will have your son who will walk again one day, and we may never see our sons again. Oh, a blessing for you." The old man shook his head again. "When will you learn tragedy, blessing? You know neither. All you know is that your sons are gone and mine is here." The old man simply walked away, mumbling to himself. Yeah, who can ever know what is next? The end. You get it? This is my life story. Something happens. It could be bad. But all we can do is say, what now? What can we do to keep living? All we need to say to each other is, "Sutma imgi saifok." A lost horse could be a blessing. And we know what is being said about what just happened. We just move on. That's not to say we don't get upset or we don't have questions about what happened. We do what will help us to continue to live, to succeed. But it is not always easy to forget the troubles brought to us by the American Lofan, the white people. So many times, all they want to do is get rid of us. Of course, we also had Lofan good friends, but the shouting, the Chinese must go, so big in California, started by that politician, Kearney, and the other one, "Keep America White," by that failing politician of yours. They spent so much time, energy, and money to find out many ways they could drive us out. So it was not just the people, also the government. Pacific Grove passed a law saying we Chinese could not fish during the day or at the shore. Did they forget we started the fishing industry here? Make them good money, too. Guess they wanted all the money, all the fish. They hoped if we could not make any money, that we would leave. But we didn't. No. Even after a Chinese man was hung in Monterey for just voting. This is not democracy that America boasts about. No. So many ugly things happen that are not democracy here. Freedom. We all just want freedom like you. To live our lives in health, enough food to eat, education for our children, a roof over our heads, to be productive. This is not asking much. We are not asking to become the President of the United States. Oh, but wouldn't that be something? But back to blessing or tragedy. When my mama and baba, they left China in a junk boat, they meant to go to San Francisco. But they got caught in a terrible storm. The waves and the rain and the wind. Oh, they could not even see in front of them. And they were being pushed and pushed and pushed against the cliffs. And finally they were pushed past San Francisco and crashed into Carmel Bay. The boat hit the rocks, and my mama and baba, everybody in the ship, were thrown out of the boat, almost drowned. But the Rumsen, they rescued us. They rescued them. Oh, and they were so sick and cold. But it looked like a tragedy, yes? Well, when they were healthy again, thanks to the Rumsen Oloni, they saw not a single boat in the bay or the Pacific Ocean beyond. San Francisco, there would have been so much competition. In Monterey Bay area, no competition. So, blessing or tragedy? Here's another example. I told you the government people passed a law that the Chinese could not fish offshore. So what did we do? We collected and dried more seaweed to sell. When they passed the law that the Chinese could not fish during the day, we fish at night for squid. And now look, squid are big business. And I know you probably love, what they call it, calamari. Very tasty, yes, calamari. But they did not know to fish for squid before we did. Then they passed a law that we could not dry our squid anymore. That meant we could not sell our squid, because if they're not dried and salted, they would just rot if you sent the squid off to other places in California or even to China. They would spoil. By then, the Italians had been fishing, and now they had built a cannery. So, we could not dry our fish, so what did we do? The Italians, they would throw out the parts of their fish that they didn't want, the tails, the head, the guts, the inside, right onto the public beach. Oh, the fish parts rotted and stinkied up the fish, the whole city, the flies and the smell. But we not think, how stinky. No, we saw that those stinky fish parts could make good fish fertilizer to sell to the farmers in Watsonville and Salinas. Yes, you see, just keep going. And a big benefit for Pacific Grove to no more stink. We cleaned up the public beach. My mama and papa always said to us, keep your head up high. Don't let the enemy know or see they hurt you. Mama, baba, I miss them. But who I miss most is my brother Tukli. I think about what he would say and do with all the problems still going on today in this country. He is my hero. We used to cause so lot of trouble, but good trouble. While Tukli fished all day between my work, I would read about all the new laws being passed against us and all the violence, the racism to our people. I would be in town for errands and I would hear all the gossip. And I would come back and I would tell Tukli, and we would put our heads together and figure out what trouble we could make to protect our people. Baba did not like doing the good trouble, but Mama always said, you can't stop them. And she was right. Someone had to fight back when the citizens of Pacific Grove and Monterey tried to get rid of us. It was Tukli who had the idea to fish for squid at night. It was Tukli who talked with Mr. Maccabee about letting us lease his land to build a new fishing village after Point Alonis fire. Oh, the Point Alonis, all the people outside in the town, they did not like that we did that. After all, they were probably the ones that emptied the water towers behind our village. So, no water to put out the fire, and so they would leave, but no. So they did not like us leasing a new land for a new fishing village. But Mr. Maccabee, he did not care. Oh, he was a good man and a good friend to the Chinese. Oh, we appreciate him so much. He is gone now. Mama, Baba gone. Even my little sister Singhing gone. Both Tukli and Singhing died so young, 40s. My husband gone too. Only me now. Of course, I have my children, grandchildren, and lots of nieces and nephews, but not the same. It's good. It's okay. I'm okay. Hey, Quock Mui, stop talking about bad times, sad times. I had a pretty good life growing up in the fishing villages. The ocean, as you can see, so beautiful. Oh, the breeze. So what you say, like hugging me. I love the storms too, so exciting. Ocean so powerful. The fish was plentiful. I could run around freely in the village and on the beach. So many Chinese men who looked out for us kids. We always felt safe. I even went to school. All the kids from different places all around went to the same one-room missionary school. That's how I learned all those languages. So many friends, yeah. And when I grew up, my favorite pastime was gambling, yes. Some thought, Quock Mui, shameful for a woman to gamble with the men. Not shameful for me. If I love gambling, I should be able to gamble, not hurt anyone, except when I won. And I made extra money for my family, yeah. And you know, if I just gave birth to another child and I wanted to gamble, well, I would bring my child with me, even if I had to suckle my baby right in front of all those men. Get over it. It's just nature, yeah. My favorite game was the bean count game. You know the game? Let me tell you. So the game boss has a jar of beans. Any kind of small bean, like mung beans, red beans, any kind. We have to turn our backs to him. So first of all, he dumps them on the table that he's brought or on a square cloth on the ground. And he dumps out a certain amount of beans and then covers up the jar. And then we turn around and we have to look at how many beans will be left after he removes 4 beans at a time until there are no more 4 beans left. But what is left? 3, 2, 1, 0. That's how we bet. You would bet on any of those numbers. Yes. And whoever guesses wins all the money. Yeah. Except, of course, the game boss takes his cut, of course. Then we start again. The boss can add a handful of beans or take some out, but no one's allowed to see him do it. And we bet again. Oh, lots of shouting and laughing. Just because I'm a woman, I should not enjoy the laughing and shouting and cussing? Oh, yeah. I don't mind cussing when it's the only way to express how you feel about something. Oh, women, we need to not be ashamed that we are strong. I enjoy being strong. Who cares what other people say, men or other women? Yeah. So if you want to cuss, you cuss. Just live. That's what I tell everyone. You live your life, not someone else's life. Now I live in a house on Wave Street. It is right across where Point Alonis Fishing Village used to be. Living in my own house would not have been possible many years ago. Many changes. I have seen horse and buggy to trains to automobiles to airplanes. I have seen my family come and go, war come and go, our fishing villages come and go, my friends come and go. That's life. Coming and going, going and coming. Maybe soon I'll be going too. Will it be a blessing or a tragedy? Don't answer that. Just remember, no matter what happens, don't get stuck on tragedy or blessing. Oh, it's a tragedy. Or it's a blessing, but when will it end? Just look, see, and think what you can do to keep going to make life better. Lost horse could be a blessing is now your story too. Now enough. I'm all done. Bye-bye. Hoa, hoa, hoa. Doje, doje, doje. Thank you, thank you.
I am happy to be back in my home country after almost 20 years. And I am a little tired from the long sailing. But I am no heroine. I am just a simple mother of 4 sons and wife of Bapu, who you all know as Gandhi. I know some of you want to hear my story, especially my life in South Africa. When I have the energy, let me tell you about it. Yes, almost 20 years ago, I was sailing out of Mumbai, that the British called Bombay. And I was a little nervous, because I had not really left Gujarat. I was very scared about taking this long journey. But as a good Hindu wife, I had to listen to Bapu. And he wanted us to join him in South Africa and sail to Durban. So here I was in 1896 on a ship called the Kurland with Bapu, 2 of my sons, the older ones who were born at that time, Harilal and Manilal, and my sister-in-law's son. And I was saying goodbye to Mumbai and sailing across the Arabian Sea. Bapu had asked me to dress in a very stylish sari, wearing covered shoes also, which I was not used to and found very uncomfortable. As we set sail, I wondered what lay ahead for me. I hoped the children would get a good education and we would be happy living as a small family after having lived in a large joint family in Gujarat. The food on the ship was very bad. They only gave us boiled vegetables and bread since we were vegetarians. We also had to use a fork and knife, all that I was not used to. Bapu had tried training us, made a lot of noise, and I so longed to eat with my fingers, sitting on the floor of my kitchen in Rajkot, Gujarat, eating like this, the tasty food that we freshly prepared every day. Soon there was a storm, and the ship went like this for several days. We all got so sick, we ran to our cabin and tried to pray to gods to save us. But Bapu alone was all right, and he was walking up and down the deck helping other people. When we got over this and the waters became still, we sailed towards the port of Durban in South Africa. But a bigger storm awaited us over there. As we were approaching the harbor, we were told that we could not disembark because we may be carrying the plague from Mumbai. What plague? I thought everybody was all right. Maybe they didn't want us there. We were there for 2 or 3 more weeks on the ship, running out of food and water. And then I saw all these white men standing on the shore, throwing some things at us and shouting. Though I was illiterate, I could understand a few of those words. Go back, they were shouting. Gandhi, go home. What is this, Bapu? I asked. Is that for us? Yes, Kastur. I think they may be angry. When I was in India, I published something called the Green Pamphlet, listing all the atrocities committed against the Indians in South Africa. That must have reached them. Bapu, you never told me about this. Oh, it made me very nervous. Soon everybody got off the ship and we were the last. We were asked to wait. And when we disembarked, Bapu put me and the boys in a carriage and sent us to our friend's house. He said he would come walking behind. I waited and finally he arrived. And to my shock, he was bruised and bleeding. All his clothes were tattered. Bapu, what happened to you? Kastur, that same mob attacked me when I was walking. But for the help of a white lady, the wife of the superintendent, I would be dead by now. Bapu, what? What are you saying? I could not understand all this, but I felt so unwelcome. I wanted to go back home to India, but that was not to be. Bapu convinced me that we would have a better life, and we set out to our new home, a home called Beach Grove Villa. Bapu had a good job as a lawyer in this new country, South Africa, which was also under the British, like India, where I was from. But I saw a big difference here. I heard that they hated the Indians and the other coloreds. We could not be safe anywhere, especially in the town. I told my boys not to go there because I heard they would spit on us, call us coolies, which is indentured laborers, and they would not even share a train carriage or walk on the same side of the street as us. I could not understand all this, but I knew that Bapu was starting to help. he was going to court, and besides doing his legal work, he was also assisting the Indians who needed help. And he started doing community service, or seva as we called it. And soon I also started believing that we had to serve our community. Though some things were very challenging. Our house became an open house. All the people would be coming in, and I had to cook big quantities of food for them. In the beginning, I was assisted by some helpers. Well, and then some of Bapu's clerks started even living with us because we had extra rooms. Now, one or two would even leave their dirty chamber pots under the bed. And Bapu would take it and clean it. And once when I cried and said that I was not used to doing all this dirty work, he scolded me and said that I should do it cheerfully. Now you tell me, can anybody do such a job cheerfully? I was used to the caste system in India where we never mingled with people who did all this dirty work. So it was hard for me to adjust to this. But because Bapu was getting stronger in his ideas and believed that we had to do all kinds of work and even involve the children in all this, I also came to accept it. Now, I was soon pregnant with my third child, and when he was born, we named him Ram Das, after our Hindu god. And by 1900, I was blessed with another son. This time we named him Devdas. Bapu was very helpful and considerate. He would even come and help with the delivery. But I was having a lot of women's problems that I cannot mention here. And I was getting very weak. And I wanted to go back home to India. And that same year, Bapu announced that we could return home, that our job here was done. And I was so happy when we sailed back to Mumbai or Bombay. But that was not meant to be. In fact, many of our friends there had given us beautiful parting gifts thinking we were going forever. I even got a lovely necklace made out of gold. But Bapu wouldn't let me keep it. He said, this is for our community service, not for your personal use. He made me return it. And I remember I was quite angry and I cried. But now looking back, I think, why did I need all that? I have become so simple. All I need are my glass bangles that were given to me at my wedding when I was 14 years old. And also my bindi, which is the mark of a Hindu married woman. Well, as I told you, we went to Mumbai that year, but soon came back because Bapu got a call from South Africa again that the situation had become very bad and he had to come and help the Indians. So we were back. This time we did not settle in Durban, but another city called Johannesburg in the interior. Bapu set up his practice there. But the situation was getting worse, the way we were treated. First of all, there was the bubonic plague, and it affected our communities who were mostly miners and laborers and did not live in very good conditions. So I went with Bapu and started helping with the nursing and teaching the women hygiene. But the government, the South African white government, started imposing all kinds of laws. They first said that we all had to get fingerprinted like criminals and carry papers with us, even when we crossed to another province. And then they imposed a 3-pound tax on all of us, even the women. £3 was a lot of money. I could buy so much groceries with that. And then Bapu came up with an idea. Along with his friends, he started a printing press and printed a newspaper called Indian Opinion. In fact, he put his savings and bought a piece of land outside Durban, set up the press there, and also wanted to try communal living. So we built small houses there, and he asked us all to move and start living with other people a simple life. And that was the beginning of the Phoenix settlement. It was very much hard work for me because from morning to night, I was running the kitchen. I was helping with growing vegetables and fruits and making sure that everybody was well fed, because not only our relatives but some friends also started coming and living there in that settlement, what I call ashram. Well, Bapu was still busy working in Johannesburg and going up and down. But I somehow started enjoying this, though it was working from day to night and doing things like even cleaning latrines. We did not get outside help. People started calling me Ba, which means mother. And I got the name Kasturba. And Bapu, of course, means father, which he also enjoyed. Well, the Indians and others got together and started protesting peacefully. And a new movement came about, which was named Satyagraha, truth force. That is the meaning of it. Bapu said that he got the idea from my early behavior when I was a young bride at 14 or 15, and he, who was a few months younger than me, would try to control me. I would quietly resist and not obey him. And he told me that your behavior only inspired me, Kastur. Well, at least a good thing came out of that, I thought. And soon they were resisting all these atrocities in a peaceful way and not cooperating with the government, not carrying the papers and sometimes even getting together and burning them. In 1908, I remember I was hosting a function at home and had prepared a good feast when a telegram came, and I was illiterate and could not read it, but somebody else read that Bapu had been arrested and was going to be in prison for 2 months. I put down my food and I vowed that I would only eat gruel as long as he was in prison. Then I soon had to get used to it because one by one my sons were also going to prison for resisting, for illegally selling fruits and not carrying their papers. And the Satyagraha or the Truth Force movement became stronger and stronger. The miners and the farm workers and the laborers all started joining. They were thrown into prison, they were beaten, and some even lost their lives. Meanwhile, somebody donated another beautiful piece of land near Johannesburg, and that became the Tolstoy farm. Another experiment in communal living, and this time we even hosted the families of those who had thrown in prison. In 1913, I was sitting in the ashram back in Phoenix, getting ready to cook dinner, when Bapu suddenly came and said, Ba, do you know that soon you are going to stop being my wife? You will become my concubine. Bapu, don't joke about such things. I have been your wife for such a long time. But you remember you took the vow of celibacy some years ago? So we are only like brother and sister now. No, Kastur, I don't mean that. The government is saying that because we did not get married in the Christian way, our marriages are not legal anymore and our children will become illegitimate. Babu, is there no limit to the atrocities? We are being treated like criminals, we are being taxed, and now our honor is at stake, Bapu. What do we do? And then Bapu said, well, if you women feel like that, you should also join the Satyagraha. You can also be thrown into prison. And if you die in prison, you will become goddesses and we will worship you. Bapu, you like to joke about these things. And we laughed and went to sleep. But that got me thinking. Well, I needed to also join the movement. So later that year in 1913, I joined 3 other women and a group of men, and we took the train to the Transvaal border and we crossed it without showing papers. Of course, we were all arrested and thrown into prison, Moritzburg prison, 3 months of hard labor. It was not easy. We were given things like scrubbing the floors, washing clothes, and not given proper food because we were vegetarians. But we all stayed together. Especially in the evenings, we would get together, the other ladies and I, and we would pray to our gods, Rama and Krishna, and pray for shelter. कभी राम बन के कभी श्याम बन के चले आना प्रभु जी चले आना. Somehow we survived the 3 months. And when I was released, Bapu came to receive me. He himself had been in prison before that. And he said, Kastur, you have become skin and bones. What happened to you? You look so weak. Bapu, I do not feel weak. I feel very strong. I have also become a freedom fighter or satyagrahi just like you. Isn't that what you wanted, Bapu? Soon we went back to the ashram. I became very sick after that. I almost died. And Bapu promised that he would not marry anybody else because I had been his wife for a long time and had 4 children with him. But somehow God saved me. I was able to get my strength back. And now it was time to return home. The year was 1915 and they were calling us from India to help with the freedom movement, the struggle against the British Raj. Well, things were improving in South Africa. That 3-pound bill was withdrawn. That Marriage Act was also changed and our honor was restored. So Bapu and I and our children, we sailed first to England and then to Mumbai. And here we are, back in our beloved homeland. Well, I know that we have a long journey ahead, but I do hope we can make a change here like we did in South Africa. I am no heroine, but I will work hard. I will set up an ashram. I will do whatever is necessary to put us on the path to freedom. Jai Hind.
When people see me for the first time, they are looking for someone taller. I am standing up. I am sitting down. I am standing up. I am sitting down. I am only not even 5 feet tall. And they're looking for someone with muscles, like a wrestler. When they realize it is me, they say, you are Junko Tabei, the first woman to climb Mount Everest? How did you carry such a heavy backpack? Oh, what is your lung capacity? They never ask very interesting questions. Well, once I was speaking at university and a young man stood up and said, is it true that all female mountain climbers in Japan are unattractive? He was quoting a Japanese novelist. I said to him, well, when you look at me, you can see that isn't so. That shut him up. People do not ask the interesting things. It's all about appearance or physicality when they meet mountaineers. We are much more interesting than that, especially women mountain climbers. We all come from somewhere. I come from Miharu. It means 3 springs. Cherry, peach, plum, the blossoms of spring, and very famous for a cherry tree that blooms even in the most hottest of winters, even during the war. That's when I was born, World War II, 1939. I am the youngest of 7 children. 5 of us are girls. When I was born, my father looked at me and said, another girl? And then he refused to name me for a few days. I think he wanted a boy. My father was very poor. He was a printer, but he worked very hard. And I was a weak and sickly child. I caught pneumonia many times. And when I went up Mount Everest, the people in my village said, that little Junchan, so tiny, so frail, so weak, how could she climb up such a big mountain? I couldn't run when I was a child. I couldn't do gymnastics. I was no good in sports. I was not an athlete. But when I was 10 years old, my 4th grade teacher, Watanabe Sensei, took some of us to mountains. And there I learned mountain lessons that stayed with me my whole life. First of all, I learned how important a team was when climbing mountains, but the team cannot do it for you. You are the only one who can make it to the top. And I learned that it doesn't matter how fast you go or how slow. Step by step with the will to get to the top is how you get there. Oh, and when I got to the top of Nasudake, I couldn't believe all the things that I didn't know about. And it ignited in me a desire to learn more about the world. In Tokyo, I found out there are mountains all around, and you can go to a mountain and climb it over the weekend. So I tried to do this, but there were not very many women in Japan who were interested in this pastime. So I had to find a men's club who would allow a woman to go on. There were not many of them, but a few did. But when I joined them, they would say behind my back, she's just here to find a husband. Oh, nay, I was not looking for a man. I was not there for a man. I was there for myself. But that's how I found my husband. We met at the top of a mountain. Masanobu Tabei was a great mountain climber, wonderful reputation, technically brilliant, very daring. My mother did not approve of him. She thought he was going to be Mountain Ronin, one of these guys that just go mountain climbing and they go from job to job to job with no anchor. But Masanobu was not like that. And eventually my mother accepted him. It was Masanobu who said, Jun-chan, you are ready for 8,000 meter. There are no 8,000 meter mountains in Japan. That meant I had to go overseas. So I formed the Ladies Climbing Club, and our motto, let's go climb mountains overseas, just women alone. Our first mountain climbing women alone, Annapurna 3. I was one of 3 women to climb to the top of this mountain in the Himalayas. And then the Ladies Climbing Club next mountain, Mount Everest. Why not? It was 1970 when we climbed Annapurna 3. That was the same year that Japanese Men Club went to Mount Everest and climbed to the top. Oh, they could do it. We can do it too. But it took us 5 years to get there. And in the meantime, it was money. There was 100 million yen it took the men's group to get to Everest. But I figure we didn't need that much for 15 women. We would use 60 million yen. But still, that was 4 million yen for each of us. That was like in post-economic depression Japan, like each of us buying a house. Oh, too hard to do. And plus, Masanobu said to me, can we please have a child before you go to Mount Everest? Yeah, just like that, I can have a child. Yeah, I'll have a kid, just like that. But that's what happened. One day I was mountain climbing and I felt a little heavier. We had our child Noriko at 1972. She was 3 years old when I went to Mount Everest. The hardest thing about getting to Everest was finding funding. Everybody said, a women's group going to Mount Everest? No, I'm not going to put money into something that is going to be a complete failure. I'm just throwing my money away. You guys aren't going to make it. Oh. So we had to cut corners where we could. We found out that car covers were waterproof. So we made our outer clothing out of car covers. My gloves for Mount Everest were made of car covers. And I wore the same boots as an Annapurna 3, had a hole in it. That's all I had. So finally, a Japanese magazine and newspaper said, we're going to send journalists to cover your expedition, and then we will fund you. So we want to find out what you are doing. So we had journalists on our expedition. We had the money. We could go. But when we got to Nepal and we had all our things there, the Sherpa said, is that it? We had 2 ladders. We used these ladders to put across the Kumbal ice falls. These are huge crevices. You go down one of those crevices and not come back. We had to go back and forth between these crevices to get to base camp. We didn't have enough jumars, which are the metal clasps to ascend on a rope. We gave those to the Sherpa. We women mountain climbers use carabiners, a metal ring that we put the rope through, and we used our hand for a brake. I always say to people, don't ever do that, not safe. But that's what we did. We didn't have enough python to put into the rock. So we strung our rope 80 meters apart. If one of us fell, 80 meters of rope would have done us nothing at all. I always say to people, never do that. It's not safe. But that's what we had to do. You might be saying, what about these Sherpa guys? Wasn't this a women's expedition? Why did you need Sherpas? Who are they? Well, that's exactly what some of the women climbers said when we were on Everest. They said, isn't this a women's expedition? Why are the Sherpa breaking the trail for us? Shouldn't we be doing that? These were younger women that had not climbed high mountains before. As climbing leader, I did not tell them, you guys, the Sherpa live here. This is their home, the Himalayas. They know this place. They're adjusted to the altitude. They everywhere they go, it's Om Mani Padme Om. They pray and they honor and they respect the mountain. I am going to let the Sherpa go ahead of me, and I'm going to trust these guys with my life. But I didn't say that. What I said was, okay, tomorrow we'll go break the trail, just the women, and I'll go tell the Sherpa. So I went to An Serning, the lead Sherpa, and I told him what was going to happen, and he said, okay, what you ladies are going to do, go ahead and do it, and we will set up along the way. He didn't want to waste any time, and he knew what was going to happen. Yeah. One morning of laying the trail by ourselves, the women said, and the next day, everything back as normal. Sherpas breaking the trail. We didn't have that much time, and the Sherpas could do it much faster than us. There's only a very small range of time that you can climb Everest to get to the summit. And we were running out of time. It was already May by the time we had set up 5 base camps. We went up and down these base camps to acclimate to the high altitude. We were 1 week away from the summit. And on May 4th, by some coincidence, 28 of us wound up at Camp 2. I remember when we first got to the site of Camp 2, a Sherpa said to me, that is where the Spanish expedition had their camp. We should put our camp there too. Well, I knew where the Spanish had been because there were cardboard boxes and empty oxygen tanks, all kinds of junk lying around. Who knows what kind of garbage was under the snow? I said, no, we're gonna go put our camp up higher. And it's a good thing that we did. On March 4th, we were ready to settle down for a good night's sleep because we thought we were in a safe place for once. We were missing a sleeping bag, so Watanabe and I put the sleeping bag around our legs. We put down jackets around us to keep warm, and then we fell asleep. 12:30, midnight, there was a rumble, and the ground began to shake. And suddenly I was tumbling over and over and over, and avalanche. And I thought, Noriko, my daughter, Noriko, I can't die because of Noriko. but I thought I had died. Finally, when I stopped, I shouted, "Is everyone okay?" But I got no answer. Then I realized someone was on top of me. Her nose was touching my nose. Her hair was in my face. It was Miharu. "Jun-chan," she said, "I can't breathe." Oh, I had a knife around my neck. I couldn't move my arms. So I pulled the knife up with my teeth and I opened it up and I said to Miharu, "Take the knife and cut a hole in the tent so we can get some air." Miharu said, "Chun-chan, I can't move. And then she passed out. I tried to take the knife and stab the tent and I passed out too. When I came to, I was thrown across a snowbank and there was chaos and confusion all around me. "Get lights, lights, we can't see a thing. Oh, put up a tent if we don't have a tent and go inside, we will all die of exposure. Tabei is in the worst condition. Get her into a tent immediately." Oh, I was in the worst condition? That meant nobody had died. Sherpas picked me up to put me into a tent. I found I could not move. What had happened was the Sherpas found 4 women on top of me. And when they pulled them off, all that was sticking up out of the ice was my feet. They grabbed my ankles and pulled, and they pulled the tendons of my hips and legs so I could not walk for 2 days. But if they hadn't done that, I would have died. The Sherpas laid me down on the floor of the tent with the other women climbers. They were okay, but they were scared. And I heard outside the tent a journalist on the radio to base camp. "We must abandon the expedition immediately. An avalanche has taken out everything. We have no materials, no supplies. The mission is over. And we must get a helicopter immediately to take Tabei off the mountain." What? I could not move, but I could shout, "No! No! I'm not leaving! I'm not getting off of this mountain! Do you hear? Don't! No helicopter! We're not abandoning this mission! We're going to the summit!" And Serning came into the tent and knelt down beside me. "Mem Sahib, you don't want a helicopter?" "No, I know my body. I will be okay in a few days. I'm not leaving." "Mem Sahib, you don't think we should abandon the expedition?" "No. The other women are in better condition than me and they are younger. If I can't go, they will be able to get to the summit. If we leave now, all is lost. We must stay where we are and we must continue." Serning thought about this. And then he went outside to tell, and then he said to me, most important, he said to me, "If you ladies do not leave, we Sherpa will not leave." And then he went out to tell the others. And then 2 weeks later, on May 16th, 1975, Serning and I stood on the summit of Mount Everest.
Three women. Whew. Three amazing women, and there are so many in our world. So let us begin. Oh, sorry. I am Quock Mui. You can ask me question. Also, my friend Kasturba, and also Junko. Yes. So raise hand. Raise hand for any question. No?
Just a minute, let me think.
If we don't see you, speak out. Hello.
Hello, I had a question. You were so public with the work that you were doing, and it was so intense with your families. Could you talk a little bit about how did that affect your children and you and your children?
Who are you speaking to?
Oh, I was wondering about that for all of you.
Oh, yes. Well, for me, my children also knew what was going on in the fishing village. They knew about all the bad things and also the good things. So it was fine. It was fine. For me, we worked together. Yeah. I don't know if that answers.
Yes, thank you.
I have to say that my children suffered because of all these decisions that Bapu took, especially my oldest son. He had the most difficult time adjusting, not getting a proper education because Bapu felt that the children were not a priority for him. That they had to learn by just doing things with their hands and helping in the ashram. And my oldest son went down a very dark path and he became addicted to drink and turned against Papu. Oh, yes. But my other three sons were good boys and they helped me and they learnt, from the volunteers in both the ashrams in Africa. They learnt to do things and they were good sons. But it breaks my heart to think about my firstborn, Hari Lal, and the bad path that he is taking.
When the ladies climbing club came home from Mount Everest, I was so surprised. Reporters everywhere, photographers, everyone meeting us at the plane. And my daughter, Noriko, she was 3 years old at the time. Oh, so much confusion. She was crying because of so upsetting. What happened was when we were on Mount Everest, the United Nations had called 1975 the International Year of the Woman. And there was a woman who climbed to the top of Mount Everest, became big deal. So I became famous. I didn't think anyone would notice that we women went to Mount Everest, but we came back and I became a celebrity. And that was not good for me. Because when my son Shinya was born later in 1978, well, he did not like having a famous mother. Oh, he became very rebellious, so rebellious. He was rebellious until he was 30. And when he was a teenager, he didn't go to high school. He didn't graduate just to spite his father and me. Oh, so that is why I always tell people that I am not a celebrity. I am not a famous person. I am just an ordinary Japanese housewife with a rebellious teenage son to climb mountains.
Thank you.
Right. And Janet Liu?
Yes, thank you so much for the story. Junko, I cried when you reached the top of the mountain. I'm wondering what in you drove you to lead something that's never happened before. And then with an injured ankle to say, I'm not abandoning, to keep on going. What drove you?
It was for the team. So everyone who came to Mount Everest wanted to be there so that we could get to the top of the mountain. And so since we didn't have enough supplies for other climbers to go up, just me and the lead Sherpa answering. So when I went up to represent everybody on our team. And to tell you the truth, when I got to the top of the mountain, all that I wanted to do was go back down. It was so hard to get there. But I did it because it was a wonderful experience to be at the top and a wonderful experience for all of us to be working together.
Thank you.
Junko, how will the men that doubted you take it after you succeeded?
Oh, so that is kind of why I never talk much about me being a mountain climber, especially going to the top of the mountains, because at that time when I first did it, it was not something that women in Japan were supposed to do. I mean, look, women in Japan weren't supposed to go to college. I went to college. They weren't supposed to go to high school. I went to high school. So I went to Mount Everest. So it was also something that women were not supposed to do in Japan. But as more and more women climbed high mountains, it became much more acceptable. So, and by the end of my life, and it's 2015 right now, there are so many women who are mountain climbers, and it's quite acceptable now. And so many women in Japan who do mountain climbing. So time has changed, and that's what men see. They go with it too. So, especially if you feed them well, they can accept everything.
Go ahead, Janet, again.
Unmute.
Unmute,
I
Janet.
didn't see other questions, so I'll barge in. So this question is for Kasturba. I've been studying the Bhagavad Gita, and there it's interpreted by Eth-Noh-Tec, and so they talk a lot. He admired Gandhi a lot, and so your story. Did you ever fight back to this man who kept on pushing you to your limits?
I am also a big believer in the Bhagavad Gita, just like you. And I slowly started to read and even memorize some of the verses. And I believe that we all have to do our duty. And I came from a time where the duty of a wife is to follow her husband and do whatever he puts down. So that is how all the ladies in my family and my community were expected to behave. But I am a few months older than Bapu. So even when we got married, I thought I could be the strong one, but because he was getting a good education and I was illiterate, he started controlling me even from a young age. I would very quietly resist him, and I would get away with it even early in my marriage. When he told me I cannot even go out without his permission, going out was going to the temple with his mother. He used to say, Kastur, if you do that, I will get very angry. But I defied him and I went. So all along, I would push back and, not accept everything, because he would go to some extreme behavior, like telling me to give up salt, give up all the spices, and, I started resisting. And when he said give up, that he wanted to give up milk, I brought a goat and I said, now you start drinking goat milk. So throughout, I might appear to be silent, but I made sure that, especially with running the ashram, things were going my way.
All right, Linda.
I have another question for Junko. What did you do after your Everest expedition? Did you continue to climb mountains?
I climbed 150 mountains so far.
Wow.
And so I've one thing also that I did was, well, I took many expeditions. I took people on tours to, I was the guide to go to the top of mountains. So that is one way that I went around the world to see many different mountains. And I was able to climb all of the 7 summit. I was the first woman to do so. 7 summit is the highest mountain on every continent. And I also got the Snow Leopard Award. And that is the award for climbing the mountains of the Tianchen mountain range on the border of Russia and China. Very difficult mountains. Took me 3 times to climb Mount Timur. So when I finally did that, I won the award. So when I went around the mountains, everywhere I saw junk that mountaineers had left behind. So they just discarded their things and left it. I thought, oh, this is not good. So I got my master's in environmental studies, and I started programs all over the world to clean up the mountains of the trash that mountaineers had left behind. And now it is policy for all mountain climbers to carry out what they bring up.
Fantastic. Thanks.
All right, Mindy.
Quock Mui, how did you find the inner strength and resilience to go on and make a new home after the terrible fire in a place? There's that kind man. How did that influence you to find the resilience to keep going?
Well, like the story, lost horse could be a blessing. One has to just keep going. So my brother knew Mr. Maccabee and thought, maybe there. So he went and asked. And so it made it so much better to know that even though so many of the townspeople, they don't like us. They want to get rid of us. And they almost succeeded. But then there were also the good people, the good townspeople, and Mr. Maccabee was one. So it gave us much good feeling, much hope that life could go on. We would be able to do what we need to do. So it was a good time. It was a good time, even though it could have been bad. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Marie.
Unmute.
All right, Marie, unmute.
Okay, here we go. I'm on. This is for Quock Mui and Kasturba. You've both been through a lot of problems and a lot of situations. What one activity or action did, how am I going to say this? What was the biggest problem in your all of the things that you had? Which one was the hardest to deal with?
For me, it was that I had to live all the time with a feeling that I could almost not be safe. That even when I went to town, maybe there would be friends and maybe not. It was always something that we had to think about. So it gave a lot of hard feeling to my heart. But each time, when we all put our heads together, we could find a way to get from underneath all that pressure from the outside. So it became okay. It was hard. It was hard. I would say the worst part was when every time they passed a law and we had to adjust, we had to reinvent ourselves. But we did. We did. So in a way, it makes you feel, oh, we Chinese are smart. So I think I know what you are asking, but it's bad, then it's could be good. Yeah.
For me, I think after leaving my sheltered existence and life in India, the biggest shock was to see how people treated each other and to see all the way that the white people were treating the colored people. And then it made me realize that we also were not treating the lower caste people properly in my own country, and we had to make some big changes. And we had to do that in order to change the world. So that was my biggest eye-opener, as you would call it.
Thank you.
Yes, Eleanor, go ahead.
I know, Junko, you had a real camaraderie with women, and that was a strength for you. And I wanted to ask Quock Mui and now I can't say your name. I'm sorry, Kasturba. That who were your close women friends, and how did women or relationships with women play into your support system, your life?
In my fishing village, we had many families. Very unusual, I am told, for Chinese coming to America. So my friends were often the other children there. But I would say my best friend was my mother, my mama. She was a strength to me, and she always let me speak my mind. My baba always used to say that I was like my mama because I was a sassy mouth. It was good. It was good that I could do that. And so my mama was my best friend, really my best friend.
You know, since I got married at a very early age, just turned 14, my mother-in-law was my biggest support. She was very kind and she taught me all the things in a very gentle and nice way. And that helped me later on when I was running the ashram. I decided to be like her, to be the mother and to train everyone properly And the ladies who are also suffering like me because of all the problems in South Africa, we all got together, and we, in fact, first time in 1913 when we went to prison, just a small group of us ladies we went by ourselves and broke the law by crossing the border without papers, and we were arrested. But the reason we survived in that very, very difficult situation was because we all bonded together and we supported each other. So ladies have always played a very important part in my life.
Well, if there are no more questions, we thank you very much. Oh,
Janet.
there's one.
Fantastic. Wow.
Go ahead, Janet.
One more. This question is for Quock Mui. You lived to a very old age. I think at that time, it's probably very unusual to live to that age. And you come across as somebody with a very positive attitude. You know, you've encountered some terrible discrimination and losing your brother and your mother. So, what message do you have for us who are not as old as you? What message would you give to us on how to live our life with your kind of optimism and the way you look at blessing and tragedy? You seem to have a very good way of always looking at the blessing way.
Very important question. Very important. And also very important to see the lost horse could be a blessing. If we always think, oh, this is a terrible thing that happened, and we get stuck in that, oh, it's a terrible thing that happened, the opportunity, the possibilities will go away. So if you don't get stuck in that, then you can see, this could happen next, or maybe I could do it this way or that way. And so you don't feel stuck, you feel more alive. Because when you feel all the time bad, your energy is suppressed too. Your energy goes down and it's not healthy. So I would say, always see the blessing in something. Look for it, figure it out. And also I would say, cuss. Cuss as much as you want. You let it out. You don't let anyone tell you what you can say, what you cannot say. You just let it out. Then you are free, free. That's what I say. At 72 years old, be free.
I would like to add something. I know I lost my voice when I was telling you my story for a few seconds. And if you're wondering why I went to prison, this is what happened. You know, the government was passing a law that said that all of us who did not get married in the Christian way would not be legally married. And that offended me very much as a Hindu woman and wife for so many years. Then I told Bapu, what is this atrocity? So many things are happening. What? We are not able to do anything. You know, Bapu challenged me. He said, why don't you also join the Truth Force movement? You can also go to prison. And if you die in prison, you will become goddesses and we will worship you. You know, so soon after that, I decided, even if I'm weak, I am going to try joining, and that is when I took my friends and we crossed the border. Just wanted to tell you that little episode or incident.
Thank you so much. This was so rich, so wonderful.
You're welcome. We are very happy you are here.
Namaste to you all. It has been a very, very nice evening meeting you all like this.
Yes. And we want you to know that there is a link for any donations. It's the first in the chat that you can pay something if you really enjoyed this, so that the different artists can actually get some money. And we do also have some announcements of things coming up. You know, all three of us are going to be at the National Storytelling Network Conference and doing lots of different performances. And Dumas Bay. So that's one thing. I don't think you can come though, unless you are a storyteller and you've signed up. And we are also going to be on Orcas Island. So if you want to come to Orcas Island, we will also be performing with many other people like Eleanor and Linda. So many people that will be here to do an Asian American Storytelling Festival. And Bowen, what do you have?
Well, let me switch into Bowen. Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening to this. So, Eleanor, I'm going to be telling with Eleanor in Alameda on June 22nd at 1:30 at Books Incorporated. It's coming. This is going to be for all ages, so please ask people if they're in Alameda to drop by Books Incorporated at 1:30 on Saturday, June 22nd. I also am going to be giving some classes over the summer on Lesson Face in storytelling. And here is the link if you would like to find out about it. I'm giving free classes and they're exceptionally good for teachers and others who are interested in teaching stories as for learning for storytelling as a tool for learning English.
Oh,
So
nice.
you can do that. And I'm also doing some storytelling for climate change and Tai Chi. So go to Lesson Face and you'll see those lessons there for this Lesson Face summer.
And Roopa?
Yes, I would like to announce that we have a storyteller training happening at the Asian Art Museum here in San Francisco. Very excited to be launching this after a long break. And it's for training volunteers to become storytellers like me and Linda and Eleanor present here. So we have a in-person open house on June 27th. And the actual training will start on August 22nd. If you go to asianart.org and look at their calendar, go to June 27th and click on it, and you can sign up and get all the details over there. And hope you will be interested, especially the people living in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Thank you. So now what I'd like to do is to everyone unmute and let your video go. I can see Patrick finally, which is great. So if everyone could do that and put it in gallery, Robert, please, so we can see everyone and see each other.
Nancy.
Yay, look at you. Thank you all so much for coming. So,
Thank you.
yay, look at you. Look at everybody. Look at each other. Look at each other. We are people who love storytelling. Yeah. So thank you again very, very much. It's good to see you. It really is great.
Thank you, everyone.
And Marie is, you know, from my college, it's going to be our 60th anniversary. You're going to go?
Wow.
I know. I hope to see you there.
Good. All right. Great. All right. Okay. Anything else? One last word from anyone?
It was a great story.
Good job.
Fabulous.
Well done, all of you. Just
Yeah.
great.
And
Beautiful Q&A.
that time in doing it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll see you at the next
Mindful
Musings.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
And we want to stay on with Roopa and
Yeah, we
Bowen?
can stay
Okay.
on for any special thing. Look at Patrick. Wow, what a long beard you have now.
It was a long story.
It's a long story.
I bet.
That's right.
Wow. I was outside your house the other day. I forget, I was trying to park and I had to walk by and I went, oh, there's where Patrick lives. Yeah. Great. And Rod is my cousin who also, I think Quock Mui was his great grandmother. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you. That was so good. And we had a nice group of people asking us very relevant and important questions.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good.
I had a question for Quock Mui actually, which would you say that Quock Mui's inspiration was her mother or somebody else from the community?
I think it was the times, the
Okay.
things that happened that got her going because she was always a little firecracker.
Oh, okay.
Tomboy.
So I
like a
think yeah, she was a
tomboy.
tomboy, and so she was always out there, ready to take care of anything. And so I think because she was interested in that, and her mother really supported her. Her dad did not so much, but her mother did. That she was able to, and then she, when her, with her brother, they would really cause trouble together like that.
Oh, okay.
Little partners in good crime.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. But either, like all of you, how did you all become interested in doing storytelling? Did someone, no one in my family did it. It's just who
Yeah.
you are and the times and how
Yeah.
it's called. Yeah.
I think we just seized the opportunity, right? That's what, yeah.
And we're lucky also for us, we started and got going really quickly because it was the time that every mainstream organization had to start diversifying if they wanted to keep being funded. And so, we were there. And
Right
so we were
time,
right time,
right
the
place.
right place, and the right color.
And the right horse came along. Quick, jump now.
Right, awesome.
But congratulations to all three of you. That's amazing work. The research involved with that. Obviously some of you have longer pieces, and to be able to fill in the blanks and be able to do a Q&A as if you were the person means you have to have at least 90% more material to
That
draw
you've
from.
known, yeah.
Yeah, the tricky one is going to be when we do the full length one, and then we have questions that are very specific. I don't know, Bowen has already gone through that, so I'm just wondering how that'll be. So
But
You'll
great
do.
content too for middle school or high school learning about history or Asian women's history.
yeah,
It's such a rich.
I hope we get other opportunities to tell these stories.
Well, on Orcas, we have the Orcas
Yeah,
Center.
yeah,
We're gonna be
yeah,
the only ones in the theater.
yeah. That'll be great. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. And if I forget any lines, I'm going to always say, I am 72 years old. I cannot remember.
I know, certainly, yeah. Yeah, you and Bowen were really good today. Just
Oh,
awesome.
all of you. Yeah, you were both so good. And Roopa, your eyes. Oh my gosh, they're so amazing.
Thank you.
And Bowen, you're so embodied in this person. It was amazing.
I like the teacup. That was a nice added
And
touch.
at the end, yeah.
Is that you have a shoji screen like that? Did you borrow that? You have.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
that's why.
borrowed, yeah.
Wow.
Patrick is a lover of ballet and symphony.
And fine
And-
art, as you can see
Yeah.
on this wall.
and
Storytelling.
Storytelling.
Great, Chen.
Wow. Nice.
That keeps the joints agile.
So is Patrick from Orcas?
San Francisco.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
thanks, Patrick, for all your many
She's been-
years.
we've
being
known
in our
him for
crowd.
decades and decades. Yeah. He was a great supporter of Eth-No-Tec. Yeah.
The students will be telling their own story.
Yes. We started out with all folk tales and now, yeah. Personal stories.
Okay, I better go and get dinner going. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
There's a free movie on Orcus called The Miracle Club I want to go see.
When?
Oh, wow, what fun.
I'm probably late.
Is it an outdoor showing?
No, it's going to be at the
They have that.
Episcopalian Church. Yeah.
Oh, nice, nice.
Supposed to be really funny when all the women went to do something and the men said, "No, who's going to take care of us if you all go do this?" It's supposed to be really a good movie, good fun.
Oh, lovely. Okay, thank you so much, and
Yeah.
for giving
Thank
us this
you.
Hey, Rod.
opportunity.
Thanks, Rod. If you're still there, Rod. Thank you.
Oh,
And
yeah,
Jean, too.
Yeah. Okay, good night.
Bye.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you very much. Right. Bye-bye.